I'm Jon Dyer, and I'm here at ArtiFlex Manufacturing with our CEO, Erin Hoffmann. The topic that we're going to talk about today is how startup EV companies and traditional automotive manufacturing companies are leveraging their supply chain in the automotive industry. What would you say some of the biggest challenges that both startup companies and traditional companies are facing in this new environment?
So John, 2020 was a difficult year for everyone. And 2021 obviously has started off as a difficult and challenging year. That being said, there's just tremendous opportunities facing the automotive industry today. There's an unprecedented number of new vehicle platforms in development. And from 2021 to 2025, over 65 emerging vehicle market platforms are coming to market.
So I heard a lot of big numbers. With all of this new technology and new vehicle launches, a company like a startup EV company versus a company like Ford or GM, they're going to have significantly different challenges that they're facing, right? How does the supply chain fit in to solve those challenges?
So in many cases, the supplier's challenged with having to step up and play a greater role with the startup EV. So the traditional players have been building cars for hundreds of years, and the way that they bring them to market is a very well-worn path, right? So for them, it's a question of how do they optimize how they do it, how do they improve it, how do they speed it up, how do they leverage the suppliers in a new way to bring innovation to the market faster. For the startup EV, these are companies with amazing amounts of creativity, innovative products, but no legacy of bringing anything to the market. So it's really start from scratch and figure it out. And the supplier's job becomes a much greater role in that process. Really think of it as a partnership whereby the company, like ArtiFlex Manufacturing in this case, has to act as a manufacturing engineering team for the startup company because they simply don't have that. The other thing I'd point out is if you're a startup EV, you're not trying to build the infrastructure and the legacy that the traditional OEM has. Why would you? It's not necessary to bring your vehicle to the market. So think of all the manufacturing facilities, stamping presses, processes that startup EVs aren't going to do in-house. They're going to utilize the capabilities of the supply chain. That's very different than the industry looked like 10 years ago.
Right, so 50 years ago, if GM needs a door, they're going to call a company that makes stamping tools, and they're going to say, I need stamping tools for a door. For a company that might only have 500 employees globally, and they need a door, what is the ask from those companies to a company like ArtiFlex?
The ask is share your knowledge and know-how. Share that with us so that you can help us bring this stuff to market, because we don't have that as an in-house capability. So inside of a traditional OEM, there's a big group of guys and gals that make doors. They engineer them, and then they have teams that execute the tooling and the launch and the production phases, including all the roles, the quality roles, the manufacturing, engineering. Startup EV, I've got this incredible vision of an opportunity in the marketplace to bring an electric or an autonomous vehicle, but I don't have this legacy infrastructure, so help me by leading me through the steps and help me do it faster and help me develop my team's talent so that we can share in the process of bringing it out. One of the greatest challenges is there's only X amount of talent. So from my standpoint as a leader, I have to grow and unleash the talent at the fastest pace ever, because we've got opportunities. There's just tremendous amount of opportunities, but only X amount of resources to tackle those opportunities.
How does ArtiFlex's fit in the industry compared to other companies? I mean, vehicles need tires, vehicles need lights, vehicles need interiors. This strain on the supply chain or this new way of doing business can't be just for automotive sheet metal and body structures.
So we took 3 companies that were playing traditional roles, and we combined them into one company that can both play traditional and non-traditional. And by non-traditional, I mean a very specialized focus on low volume vehicle manufacturing with different tooling methods, with different automation and capital equipment methods, applied to traditional manufacturing processes. So John, we're still stamping the side of a car. We're still stamping a door, but the equipment that we use to put all those pieces together is designed inherently to be flexible. So a welding robot doesn't care which part it happens to be welding at any given time, and the fixtures that hold those parts are designed to be easily swapped in and swapped out, which then brings the cost down to launch low volume vehicles.
That has to also bring the time to market down.
That's right.
So,
speed is one of our key success stories. We've mapped the process of building a die, for example, from start to finish, and found how to optimize each step of the way. A couple of years ago, a traditional OEM had a major problem with their vehicle in crash. One part was failing. And they went back to the supply chain and said, we really need this large, complex die built, and we need it in 12 weeks. We said, we'll do it. And the traditional lead time's 28 weeks. We organized a lean and efficient team that brought that die to production in 12 weeks.
So this was great discussion, Erin, and the insights into how a vehicle is made are interesting. But what else we missed?
Well, John, thanks again. This was a fun Q&A, getting things started for the session that we're going to host later in the week. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into how we go about executing low volume vehicles, the ways we tool up, if you will, the ways we automate, and the way that we manufacture products. And thanks again for taking time to join us today. We're looking forward to an exciting conversation and all these exciting opportunities. Getting these vehicles on the road by 2025. It's truly just a tremendous task ahead of us and truly exciting time to be in the game.
Well, let's go see how it's done.
Awesome. Thanks, John. We're here with Chris Morin, President and COO of ArtiFlex Manufacturing. Chris, we're hosting today a Q&A session at the Global Automotive Supplier Symposium, and the topic is how OEMs and traditional OEMs and electric EV startups are leveraging the supply chain to bring new models to market. What are some of the challenges you're seeing from the perspective of a supplier, and what you see from the OEM side?
Yeah, Erin, certainly from the OE side, what we're seeing is a tremendous amount of vehicles that are coming to market over the next 3 to 5 years. In fact, it's in the hundreds. And a lot of those vehicles are going to be lower to mid-volume vehicles with niche places into the marketplace. That's going to be a significant challenge for them to launch from a low volume perspective, as well as the resources that they're going to need to be deployed to do that.
How is ArtiFlex positioning to solve this problem of lower volume, and what is it about low volume that creates a challenge?
So obviously most suppliers don't want to fill their facility with a bunch of low volume products from a throughput standpoint, but that's been something that we've done for years with our service background. So ArtiFlex, being flexible both in capital design, product design, tooling design, we combine all of those capabilities in order to create processes and systems that are flexible to do 1, 2, or a series of different products all off the same capital.
Can you give me like a more specific example of where the customer's challenging our team to be flexible in the vehicle and the new architectures?
Sure. A great example would be the battery trays. Battery systems for the electrical vehicle markets, where a significant number of those are low to mid-volume and on an annual basis requirements. The battery tray might, for one particular vehicle in design, be the same as it is in other vehicles in design and What ArtiFlex has been able to do is create multiple designs, maybe going to a specific piece of capital that we design at Automatrix, that's been tooled up with our tooling group, or using the extrusions with our extrusion partner. In that particular case, the battery tray, they may have several different battery trays for derivatives of the same vehicle, where they might want to extend the wheelbase to do a delivery vehicle, or a shorter wheelbase where it's just a regular sedan.
We had a conversation earlier today about derivative products. What are derivatives, and how do OEMs leverage the supply chain to do derivative vehicles?
Right. Well, we've been in derivative products for quite some time, and derivative products are a really cool way to take a standard vehicle, let's say an SUV, where you want to put in a great big engine in it, and you want to change the look versus a standard SUV, but you need a hood with an air scoop in it. We've been in the derivative market to make those products responding to the market, whether it's wider fenders, a different enclosure, a different hood. We've been doing that for years, not only in design, but creating the equipment to put it together, the tooling to make the product. Interesting.
Any other opportunities that you see out there for suppliers based on the change, this wave of new platforms coming?
Yeah, from a supply base, it's going to be challenging over the years, because there's so many vehicles coming forward, and the OEMs have had a tendency certainly to push some of the resources out of their business back to the supply base. So we're seeing a little bit of a change where the supplier is going to have to pick up those pieces from concept through production, designing for manufacturing, narrowing the quality loops into the product, etc. The other strain on the supply group is just simply the lead time coming to market. And that's what we're seeing more than anything, the amount of products and the time in which they're going to be coming to market. They're coming a lot faster than they used to.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Chris. You guys are doing a great job bringing ArtiFlex's capabilities to the market. We're looking forward to this Q&A session today, where we can participate with OEMs and electric OEMs and talk about these challenges.
Well, this is a great tour through the facilities, and what's next? What are we going to talk about in our breakout session?
Thanks, John. Looking forward to having a great Q&A session with all of you. Again, the goal is that we have a great dialogue on how OEMs, traditional and startup EVs, are leveraging the supply base, how they can leverage the supply base to bring all these exciting vehicles to the market. And with that, we'll step into the Q&A.